Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Uh-oh. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome one and all. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Um, well, hello to you too, Lydia Washington. Oh, you're in a good mood. You must have got your Christmas bonus. Fancy, fancy, welcome. Bunny Rose, Gwendolyn Daniels. You know, someone very and dear to me has their own company with, I think, about 8 employees. And I'm just like, are you going to give them a Christmas bonus? I don't know. It's kind of tight this month. I say, you really should. You'll get it back tenfold. And how much will that do for their morale, getting a Christmas bonus? So just make it happen. You're going to get it back tenfold. Um, so I hope it happens. Um, I would love to pitch in myself, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that just makes you feel special, makes you feel loved and seen, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope they'll find it in their heart to. I mean, it is tough when you own your own business, and I could appreciate that. But I do hope that they will do that because that kind of goodwill goes a very, very long way. Okay. Hey, Bunny Rose, Mary H, Fancy Fancy. Let me see. Ingrid Source, thank you so much for being here first. Ah. Well, I hope that a blessing will come your way. You deserve it. You really do. Um, I mean, what kind of community would this be without Lydia Washington? It practically wouldn't be much of a community. Ania 13, welcome. Janice Goodrich, Reba Henderson, Khalil Similane, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so I haven't shared that picture before, have I? Okay, the guy on the right side of the thumbnail looks just like Harry, right? But it's not Harry. That is not Harry. Looks just like him. I mean, the very spitting image, but that is not Harry. But just for fun, I was just like, let me throw that on the thumbnail. Okay. So I got that out the way. And of course, those two misfits, those posers, the heretic and his wife, those two are constantly looking up to the Sussexes. Well, the Sussexes are not looking down at them. They're looking at each other. They ain't thinking about those other two. But they cannot stop trying to be Harry and Meghan. In a way, I get the whole idea that imitation, blah, 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 best form of flattery, so on and so forth. But in their case, it's like a illness, it's a sickness, it's a some type of malady that they just can't get past. It's all they think about. They are in a steep competition. It's unfortunate that they don't realize that they are going to be king and queen. Numbers is not everything. Um, like when someone enters a pageant, it's not who has the best evening gown. It's not who looks best in their swimwear and all that other stuff. The thing is, you want consistently high numbers across the board, not just for one thing or the other, but you want to be consistent. And that's what's important. Queen Elizabeth never, ever found it necessary to compete with her family members. She was the queen, and that was that. But William is so insecure. But if there's nothing else we've learned from everything that has happened in the past 8 years, we found out that Harry and his brother were never close. They were never close. They just were never close. I believe it's because William would not allow Harry to be close to him. It seemed like he rejected his brother. It doesn't seem like he ever tried to protect his brother. I am so put off with that image of William that they concocted, created for the crown, because that is not William. That in no way. I'm going to share something with you. I found this. Where is it at? I'm just going to share a little bit of this with you. Okay, so this comes from The Future of Great Britain, a drunk and manipulative tart. Okay. And this is from 2007, right? Sunday, November 4th, 2007. The official Swedish News and Current Affairs Review, an ongoing review of news reporting, politics, and current events that affect daily life in Sweden, etc., etc., etc. Just when you thought it was all over, when we were being encouraged by the sight of a maturing William Windsor getting on with his life, charting out his plans with the Army and Navy, and taking on more royal duties, we were faced with the most unpalatable news that he had suffered a monumental relapse and had gone back to his self-destructive ways. Here was the prince once again stumbling blind drunk out of a nightclub, accompanied by his usual drinking partner and errant sex buddy. Under such circumstances, the incredibly persistent, publicity shy, yeah, right, Kate Middleton. Men can sometimes be their own worst enemies, I tell you. And that's the way it was written. Yeah, right. Now, while it's obvious to anyone with two eyes that a functioning brain that the woman in question appears to have cornered the market in the tabloid stakes with the aid of some shrewd PR tactics, some of which have since backfired. Among other things, some routinely sycophantic reporters have been at pains to describe her as discreet. Every time she gets involved in William's plans, the world gets a blow-by-blow account. Demure, plunging necklines and bum-skimming skirts with fishnet stockings are the order of the day. An all-around victim and loather of public attention, even in the face of abundant evidence that she frequently and readily courts the press when it suits her single-minded agenda. Now, there's more to this, but I'm going to leave it there. But that is an account of William. And the photo that comes with this from 2007, you've seen it before. Both William and Kate plastered, I mean, totally drunk out of their minds in the back of a black cab, I believe it is. And it says, the future of Great Britain, a drunk and a manipulative tart. Now, I'm not going to condone that language about the future queen because um, I thought that language was a bit strong. But what I will say is that that is the description, and there is photographic evidence to back it up, that they were both heavy drinkers that stumbled out of one club to the next. And it's a real contrast to the image of Will and Kate nowadays, where they do everything they can to make them appear to be the very conscious of the royal family. Kate is the secret weapon. William, the heir to the throne, who's going to straighten everything out once he gets there. I guess the reformer, William the reformer. That is the way that they have, I guess, cast him into this drama called. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. When Charles makes his transition to the storm cellar in the basement of the St. George Chapel, whenever he goes down there to join his parents and grandparents, then of course it is going to be the reign of William the Terrible, and people really get a chance to see him for who and what he really is. They have been covering for him for years, and that's what this article really states, is that they have covered for him for years. You know what, Hazel Jones? I'm going to send you that link. I'm pretty sure you would get a kick out of it. Um, Even though I rarely check my email, I'm going to go over there and check it, and I will send you this. Um, and of course, I took screenshots of it just in case it suddenly disappears. You know how that is. You know how that is. You talk about it enough, and then all of a sudden you can't find it. But yeah, this is it was very interesting because that's a snapshot of them from 2007 of William and Kate. A snapshot of them from 2007. Okay. Is this it? No, that's not it. Anyway, when I get a chance to, I'll find it and send it to you. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Hey, Legs. I will not hold it against Kate or William for having fun during college. They were young and they should be allowed to have fun. However, I will not excuse wank abuse of Harry and Meghan for their past escapades. Yeah, exactly. I mean, um, my resentment with this whole thing with Will and Kate is that they are trying to rewrite their history. They want people to forget about the Black Cab days. They want people to believe that they were these like-minded people who just found each other. I I was horrified by The Crown, and I resent the idea that Harry was cast as this person. Every time he entered a scene, he was either pouring alcohol or cracking open a beer. And that was deliberate. And they made William seem as though he was this archangel who was on the peripheric, um, kind of like in it but not of it. When the truth is something very different. William was quite the as I described him just now. That's the real William. But they won't let that Harry go. They want to hang on to that Harry as though Harry was the only one who lived his life as a young man, and that William somehow always seemed to have a higher calling. So I just want to make sure people don't forget who the real William and the real Kate Middleton is. Because every day, I am slapped in the face with this idea that Meghan was some type of gold digger, or that she was they keep calling her the yacht girl. We all know who worked on the yacht. And I am just not going to let that go. And so, whenever I get a chance to, I intend to remind anybody who will listen, because these are the things that are used to create hostility against Meghan, and to a lesser extent, Harry, always to a lesser extent. But, they're all young people, or were young people, should I say. And, but how is that that one reporter put it? They have been baptized or bathed in this angelic, whatever she said. Um, and that's just not who they are. And I am willing to wager you that some of those things from the past may explain the look they have today. One or both of them have not left that behavior in the past. The big difference is they are more discreet. They're certainly not stumbling out of a nightclub, but I still believe that whatever stimulants they were using back then, I'm sure they're still doing it today. But we have thrown the focus on Montecito, and I don't like that. I do not like that. Thank you so much for your comment. Yes, thank you very much, Cookies and Cream. Yeah, and let me step on it because I want to get off here so I can go watch it. I'm sure it's available now. But yes, this Cookies and Cream says, watch it and keep watching it, and keep watching it and watch it some more. We want the holiday special to be number one. It is kind of early in the holiday season. Um, you know what I mean? It's kind of early for Christmas, but I suppose they have a reason for that. But because it involved craft and stuff like that, so people would want to have time to do their craft. So, but yeah, I just kind of wish it was closer to Christmas, but I think it makes sense to premiere it now. Okay, thank you for that, Cookies and Cream. All right, so with Love, Meghan, holiday celebration, Netflix, December 3rd, which it is right now. Again, don't forget to watch. All right, magazine sold out. You just cannot find it anywhere. You'd be darn lucky if you can find a copy of Harper's Bazaar featuring the Duchess of Sussex. I think this is going to be just like that. What was it? The Vogue edition that Meghan did the editing on. That one sold out. And then I think, didn't they have a reprint of it and that sold out? Anyway, if you can find it, it's going to cost you. But you just cannot find this Harper's Bazaar. But if you can, pick up two, okay? Pick up two copies, one for me and one for you. Pick up two copies, okay? Do me a solid and send one of those copies to Royal Sussex, 1440 West Taylor Street, number 523, Chicago, Illinois, 60607. Take a screenshot so you don't lose that. That's Royal Sussex at 1440 West Taylor Street, number 523, Chicago, Illinois, 60607. Okay? Yes. Wouldn't that make a great Christmas present? I think so. I always have that handy, don't I? Okay. But yeah, cheers to Meghan. And I'm sure the people at Harper's Bazaar are very happy and excited about this. Now, as you know, no photos were allowed. No photos were allowed. But, but, um, that was indoors. Outdoors, this is as good as it gets for the tabloids. They are so. Let me see. What was that heading for that article? Let me see here. They are not pleased that they could not get any photos. They don't have a copy of the speech. They would love to know what Harry said so that they could have more authority when they criticize him. But they don't know because there are no images. I mean, no words or anything for them. So let me see here. Not even a transcript. Yeah, so they are not pleased. They would love so much to be able to say, "Hey, we know exactly what he said. This and this and that." Oh, you know what? I don't even need to find that. What they called it was cringe. They kept saying his cringe speech. How would you know it was cringe? You were not there. I can assure you of that. You have no copy of it, but they keep calling it cringe as if they really know. And trust me, they don't. They don't know what it was or how it was or anything of the sort because they were not allowed. They were excluded, right? So, how are you calling it cringe if you just don't know? Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to share that headline again, but I do not see it. But I do know the word cringe was used. They are so desperate. They are so desperate. Mm. Oh, cannot find it. Mm. Okay, no worries. It's not there. Just the usual rewriting of history. Okay. All right. Done with that. What's that? You have two copies? Oh, okay. You have two, huh? Really? You got two? That's interesting. Well, guard those because they might be highly valuable. Yeah. Oh dear. How did I put this up here again? Sorry about that. Screenshot. Okay. Let's see. The UK media tried to transpose Kate's tacky behavior onto Meghan, but Meghan grew up sheltered by her community, as did good Catholic schoolgirls were protected by some real gangsters. Well, thank you for that, Reba Henderson. Oh, okay. All right. Yes, super subtle. Really? Oh, okay. Why's my voice getting so high? That's so nice. Okay. Do you need me to put that back up there for you? Um, I'd be ever so grateful. Oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. And you know what? I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to take a nice screenshot of it and show it to everybody. No, but really, that is super sweet. Thank you so much. All right. Let me take that away. Got me over here smiling with all 3 or 4 of my teeth showing. Y'all know when I go places, I have to put my partials in because if I don't, my IQ seems to go down about 3 or 4 points. So I have to make it a a point to put those partials back in. My smile changed forever when I went to New Orleans and bit into what is it, a beignet or whatever that thing was. Hard as a rock. Cracked my tooth. Mm-mm-mm. That turned my smile upside down, inside out, and it looked like Vanna White forgot to turn a couple of my teeth. Okay. So yeah, that's Harry outside of the place. And then there's just this one photo of Harry on the stage, but there's no video, just that one photo or 2 or 3. Anyway, yes, Mike, and by the way, we are going to get some photos of Harry in the next couple of days. He did take photos with people, but I think there was a professional photographer that took those photos. So just hang in there and we will see some photos soon. Said, I had a great day at the Powerhouse Conference event hosted by Aurea. We had an amazing day engaging with the various panels, and my highlight was Prince Harry's interview, which sadly we were not able to photograph. Thankfully, I was able to be invited to have some private pictures with him that I should receive in a few days. I was able to have a nice chat with Prince Harry, including telling him that my wife, Sally Roberts Kennelly, is British and still has her British passport. He thought that was awesome, but he recommended she also get her Canadian passport. All in all, I thought he was a really nice guy. So there you go. That was the general atmosphere. Let me see. New Orleans will do that to you. You're blessed to have any teeth alcohol. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm surprised I held on to these as long as I have, but um, yeah, some of them are in a scrap heap or in some medical waste furnace somewhere. I don't know. Let me see. Were you at the famous place in the French Quarter? No, I went on a city tour when I had my beignet. Am I saying that right? And they took us to a city park that I didn't even know exists. And we went to some cafe at the city park and I ordered one there. And that one didn't seem to be fresh, I would say. And so, oddly enough, later on, on this guided tour of New Orleans. I went to a what was it? It was one of the cemeteries, and where the bus dropped us off. No, I take that back. I took the cable car to that cemetery, and there was a diner, and that's where I finally had one that was fresh. So this famous place in the park was awful, and this little diner at the end of a bus terminal, it was perfection. And I'm like, okay, now I get it. Before I was just like, I don't see what the fuss is. Oh, by the way, it looks like I chipped my tooth. But this other place, it was superb. So anyway, that was my experience. But yeah, I love New Orleans. So beautiful. I have to tell you guys one day about this mishap I had. I broke something in a hotel and I found a very unconventional way to fix it. Or have I told you that story before? Anyway, I'll tell you later. uh, MPs investigate value for money in Crown Estate leases, including Forest Lodge and the Royal Lodge. Yeah, they want some answers, ladies and gentlemen. They want some answers and they want them now. They want to hear exactly how did this peppercorn stuff happen. I still don't know why they call it peppercorn. That's interesting, but at least we know what it means. That means the mother of all come ups for uh let me see. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay. Okay. Wait. Um Here we go. Okay. And as for details, let me get that for you. The email that I promise I am going to check more often than not. Uh oh. Oh, how did I get logged out of it? Oh man, I was logged out. No. Okay, that's it. Okay, let me see here. Uh, all right. So here's the there we go. And I'm going to pin that to the top of the chat. That is the official Royal Sussex email. There we go. All right. That's the official Royal Sussex email. All right. Thank you, Christina. Is that Christina Institute? Institute. Okay. All right. So there we go. Thank you very much. I'm happy and excited. mm. I better put some lip balm on before I split my lip. Every day I keep saying I got to set up my what do you call that? Humidifier, which is the same thing I did last year. I kept saying I'm going to set up my humidifier, and it has not moved. But this year I'm going to do it. I'm going to set up my humidifier. My lips are so chapped. Okay. All right. Thank you. So, oh, I never did get to that, did I? There we go. All right, it says House of Commons Public Account Committee has launched a new investigation into Crown Estate property arrangement with the royal family. The inquiry follows months of questions around Prince Andrew's 75-year lease at Royal Lodge, a 30-room mansion in Windsor. Documents published by the committee reveal that Andrew lived rent free under a long term lease while receiving a compensatory clause worth nearly £500,000. However, officials found the property required such extensive repairs that the payout would likely be voided. Evidence sessions will begin in 2026 with wider scrutiny into leases at properties like Forest Lodge and Bagshot Park, which is where Edward lives. So now you have Andrew and Edward both under scrutiny. Tabloids shift attention from royal finances to familiar targets as MPs move to examine whether the Crown Estate delivers value for money. Coverage from right leaning tabloids quickly drifted from the inquiry's substance instead of focusing on Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's rent free Windsor residence or the dilapidation flagged in November's inspection. The Daily Mail and others redirected the spotlight to the Sussexes. Despite Harry and Meghan stepping away from royal duties and becoming financially independent in 2020, criticism over their security, spending, and lifestyle has reemerged with familiar intensity. The timing is notable as parliamentary bodies ask questions of Crown funded royals. Coverage has returned to speculating about Netflix deal and Montecito real estate. Let me see. What was the? Let me see. It was something today that they. Oh, I know what it was. So one of the rags ran an article saying that the Sussexes' lifestyle lacks authenticity with younger um, royal watchers or just younger people, period. And I get what they're trying to do. They want Harry and Meghan to seem as though that all they think about is make money. And I guess the point of the article was to try to convince people that young people, who these young people are, I don't know, but they just kept saying younger people. The young people would have a greater appreciation for the left behind royals because they don't spend their days concerned about where they're going to get money from or trying to make money. I don't know how that does not backfire. I mean, they must really think people are not altogether there if they think that that type of argument is going to help the left behind royals. The younger people are not interested in the monarchy. The majority of them find the monarchy as outdated. They would rather have an elected head of state. Now, they're going to use the chaos that is going on in Washington, D.C. as a reason to keep a monarchy, even though in the worst of times, the monarchy doesn't serve anything other than the monarchy. There is a cost of living crisis. There's a shortage of decent, affordable housing. And of course, the ever present NHS. All of these things that would concern people in the UK, especially the young people who cannot even seem to find a rental property of their desire, let alone that they could ever buy a house. And of course, we know that both in the United States and Canada, housing is it is something that politicians don't seem to ever talk about. Very few of them talk about housing, the housing crisis, the housing crisis. There's no reason why they should not be building more decent, affordable homes. So, young people, I think they would side with the Sussexes more so than the Royals, who have this huge portfolio of property. And there's several of those that is only available to the Left Behind Royals. But they are trying to throw the attention onto the Sussexes. So I cannot speak for other countries. I can only speak for the US. If you think that you're going to turn people against the Sussexes because of their income, because they are, well, at least Meghan is an influencer again, because Meghan has cranked up her Instagram. There are people that are dropping out of college who say they want to be a content creator, right? There are people that are dropping out of college, that is, who want a fragrance, who wants a clothing line, who wants to sell jam or whatever they can, candles. This is a lot of people that would you rather, and you'll be amazed at how many of them will tell you that they see their future marketing themselves, products, lifestyle on the internet. So, when it comes down to it, do you think that the younger people are going to look to the monarchy and say, oh, you know what? They will understand and help me with all my problems because they don't have to want for anything? Or the entrepreneur, the content creator, the executive um, producer, et cetera, et cetera. I think that a lot of those young people would identify with the Sussexes. They always have. They've always had the youth in their corner. But I think that is going to be one of their future strategies, is to try to paint them as obsessed with money making. That article mentioned the Netflix deal, the 100 million. It mentioned that over and over again. But otherwise, the articles seem to be a little incoherent because they were trying to, push all of this information into the article, and it really didn't fit. It didn't make any sense. But you're not going to shame Americans for making a lot of money. They don't like people like, let's say, Musk or Bezos because of the way they treat their employees, not because they're rich. They don't care about that. Leg says young people don't support the monarchy. Bye, Felicia. Oh, you can say that again. Bye, Felicia. Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell. That will be a very tough sell. We heard from the young people after Queen Elizabeth died, and if they think that Will and Kate are going to be the answer to Harry and Meghan, they just never have been and they never will be. It's impossible. William is dressing like he's one of those tech entrepreneurs, with the white shoes and all that kind of stuff. He has really dressed down. Kate with these unfortunate suits that seem to be attacking her, I I you're so much stronger when you're being yourself. You're just always so much stronger being yourself. Queen Elizabeth with those big blocky heels, that same patent leather purse, that silhouette, that easily recognizable silhouette, that was her strong point. People enjoyed how familiar that was. So, yep. Let me see here. Speaking of silhouette, let me see here. I'll show you what I mean. See what I mean? I mean, you just know that that's the queen. You know that's the queen. Patent leather purse, that hat that that shape of hat she began to wear about 10, 15 years ago. The queen. The queen. Let me see. I guess that we will have another emotional support poll. Oh, yeah. Remember the one they gave when Wank were coming to the U.S.? They said Americans would be sleeping in the street. They don't know the U.S. No, they don't, which is why it was so odd that they kept saying that the uh, Earth shot, that it was going to be a Super Bowl moment. And I'm like, do they even understand what the Super Bowl is? Do they think that people were going to get excited as though William was, one of the guest performers at the halftime show? Or that those people that they hired, these celebrities they hired, as though they were going to be like the halftime show? It just never made sense. Oh, okay. Will do. Will do. Oh, yes. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I did get it. Thank you so much. Okay. And okay. Yes, thank you very much. It is there. I need water. Hold on a second. And I also need to put my humidifier up. I'm going to do that tonight. If I can find it. I don't know where it is. Let's see. Media lies about young people supporting the monarchy. When Liz died, my daughter, who is at uni, said that the students refused to sing the anthem. Lord save the queen. Yeah, yeah. They're not interested. I just remember all of the people that they stopped on the street. That was embarrassing for the monarchy. You had these young people of every race, young people referring to Queen Elizabeth as a colonizer. I did not know that there was that type of apathy out there until the Queen died. Remember, I didn't want to say anything too negative when the Queen died. I said, well, let's just wait. I didn't get a chance to wait. It was everywhere. So I'm like, well, F it. Let me throw a few things in there. Um, I couldn't believe it. I was actually shocked. I was shocked. I thought that there would have been more sympathy and sorrow for the queen. It was nothing of the sort. people actually were very frank about how they felt about the monarchy. And I promise you I was surprised. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people who just see it as very pointless. Um in no way does it really have a place in modern society, but I thought that the death of the queen would have been so moving that people would be like, well, that did not happen. They did not miss a beat. It was remarkable as far as I'm concerned that people did not even give that a consideration. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was on the throne for 70 years. Colonizers. I was like, wow. Wow. Remember that one college professor that said those things about the queen? And everybody was just like, oh, well, not everybody. I'm just saying some of the monarchists, they were really going after that lady, but it didn't seem to matter. The university that she works, I believe they just were like, that's her opinion. That's her opinion. Because the idea of slavery and the monarchy, it lands differently here. And then of course the indigenous of both Canada and the United States, they have their feelings about the monarchy. So that's what happens when there is colonization and bloodshed in the name of the crown, the sovereign, who, you know, ordained all of the things that happen. And so people look to that institution and they don't separate it by 100 years or 200 or 300 or 400. It was still that institution as far as they're concerned. It was still that family and it's still those values within that institution. So, yeah, interesting. I tell you, I learned a lot when the queen died. That was eye opening. I did not know so many people felt so strongly about the monarchy. As I always say, I think most people just look at it as being a bit of a novelty, that is a curiosity, but there are some real, um, you know, feelings out there about that institution that I didn't know was so widespread until after the queen died. That, along with the fact that they did not seem to have a justification. I mean, what did we hear? Well, she was on the throne for 70 years. She promised that she would be there for her life, be it long or short. Uh huh. What else? Well, she was a mechanic during the war. She was a mechanic during the war. Uh huh. What else? Well, they didn't know she was going to be queen, but her uncle abdicated. Uh huh. What else? It was nothing so important. It was nothing so important. All they could say was the queen knew every president except for one. That she has she has dined with all presidents except for one. I think Lyndon Johnson was the only one that she did not spend time with as president of the United States. But aside from that, what else? What else? What else you got? So, did not look good. It did not really help the monarchy at all. I thought that the queen's death might bring people together for a little while. It was very short lived, like that afternoon. By that afternoon, there were people already to have a referendum about the monarchy. Oh my God, that was so funny. Yep, by that afternoon, people were ready to have a referendum. Can we vote about this? Love, can we vote about this? Well, I tried to give it some time, but I couldn't. Royal leases reveal inconsistencies and transparency and access. The Public Account Committee has confirmed that the inquiry extends beyond Prince Andrew. Correspondence between the Treasury, the Crown Estate, and the committee shows that other senior royals, including the Prince and Princess of Wales, Will and Kate, also have lease arrangements under review. I repeat, Will and Kate are under review. The report identifies Forest Lodge and the Windsor residence of Prince William and Kate as one of the properties under review, although its lease details remain undisclosed. Bagshot Park, home to the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, is also part of the investigation. They are investigating people. They are investigating. While Prince Andrew's rent-free details have attracted most of the public scrutiny, the committee will assess all royal leases for value to taxpayers. Sir Geoffrey Clinton Brown, representing the PAC, underscored the transparency must anchor public confidence in these arrangements. Media coverage of Prince Edward's potential profiting from his 150-year lease overlooks the fact that he already has offset his 90 million pound annual rent by leasing Bagshot Park stable block for £80,000. Let me say that again. Prince Edward's 90,000 pound annual lease is offset by him renting the 80,000 pound a year stable block, which allows him to cover most of his costs while the Crown Estate receives a minimal return. A minimal return. They said, I think it was you, Hazel Jones, that said Edward makes money from that estate, a lot of it. That's just one thing. Leasing the stable block is just one part of it. Let me see. I have 40 something relatives that still upset at having to stand in the sun and wave flags at the Queen. This happened over 30 years ago. Thank you for sharing that. Well, uh, oh, you know what? I was just about to say this, and then there it is. Media deflection shields working royals from financial accountability. While the inquiry represents a rare effort to assess taxpayer value in the royal estate arrangements, public focus risks being diluted. Coverage of Meghan and Harry's independent ventures continue to outweigh scrutiny of subsidized royals. The Sussexes no longer receive public money, yet remain a central focus of the financial outrage. This imbalance remains largely unchallenged within mainstream outlets, even as evidence mounts that the Crown Estate, which generates 1 billion annually, 1 billion pounds annually, provides subsidized housing and amenities to several senior royals. Many press outlets have chosen distraction over disclosure. The inquiry may yet offer answers, but its impact depends on whether coverage keeps pace with the facts. Wow. This is why I love Feminegra. This is why I love Feminegra. Crown Estate inquiries signal a long overdue step toward transparency in how royal assets are managed and subsidized. As Parliament prepares to question officials and review lease terms, the British public may finally glimpse the extent of which taxpayer resources have upheld royal privilege. That clarity cannot come soon enough. At a time when working families face rising costs, the notion that figures like Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor receive cushioned deals under the guise of tradition is no longer defensible. What matters now is not just what the inquiry uncovers, but whether the findings are made public and lead to reform. Any institution that receives taxpayer funding must remain accountable to the public, including the monarchy. The working royals label must be measured not by palace photo shoots or ribbon cutting, but by meaningful service, transparent finances, and a willingness to face scrutiny without deflection. Yet the question mounts over the crown funded estate. Tabloid fixation remains stubbornly fixed on Harry and Meghan, who left the system, live independently abroad and receive no public money. The contrast reveals a media landscape more interested in distraction than accountability, and it's time for that scrutiny to follow the money, not just across headlines, but into every corner of the royal entitlement. Well, thank you, Feminagra. That was stellar. I love it. I don't know who this Feminagra person is, and I don't want to know because it's better they remain anonymous. Someone was actually complaining. Oh, sorry about that. Someone was actually complaining that this person doesn't say what their name is. They don't show themselves. So what? They are speaking truth to power, and that's all we care about. That is all we care about. Don't need to see anything. Now, BuzzFeed, the Duchess of Meghan, ugh, Duchess Meghan, leave it at that, showed up and showed out at Paris Fashion Week. Her head to toe Balenciaga look broke the internet, specifically her all white cape look, before switching to a sleek black dress later in the night. Um, I love this picture right here. One person says, imagine their joint sleigh. Another person says they would have been the baddest besties. Um, and so there were other people that chimed in. She's beautiful. I just don't understand why people dislike her so much. Then again, yes, I do. Cousin Meghan ate down. Do you hear me? uh, with Love, Meghan is my comfort show. Unattainable, yep, but so is professional baseball, which is also watched to decompress. I'm sorry, which I also watch to decompress. Love her and her pickled strawberries. Okay. And what's this next one? I love that she stays rent free. Living in some of your heads is hilarious and embarrassing how obsessed you lot are. And the next one says she looks gorgeous and that angle 8. Even the haters can't keep off the comments. It's giving Princess Diana's gorgeous daughter-in-law, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, wife of Prince Harry, mother to his children. Beautiful Meghan, keep shining and pissing the irrelevant trolls off. All these freaks in the comments acting like they know Meghan personally, like she's some cousin of theirs they don't like. Stunning. And what's this last one? Oh, that's the. Oh, I cannot see that name. But anyway, the photographer that took this picture hit the jackpot. Yes, they did. That is a jackpot image right there. That is a. Uh, that is one of the more memorable images of Meghan. And what I like is the way it just kind of reminds people that she is the moment. I'll say that. It just reminds people that Meghan is the moment. Yeah. And so Meghan surely spent a lot of money on the news and post. So these are some haters right here. This one says, my internet is working perfectly fine. She didn't break anything. And Diana would have her for breakfast and then tell her to clean up the mess. Really? Oh, Leo. Oh, Leo. Anyway, what's this other one? Duchess of Netflix. Ha, 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 ha. As you can see, there were a handful of people that just was not having it. But in contrast, you have this. You have this. But as Ted Sarandos says, whether you love them or you hate them, you're still watching. You are still watching. Okay. Now, what is this? Um. Oh yeah, that's a sound bite. That's a sound bite. Thanking the worldwide Sussex community for their contributions.
We'd like to thank the Global Sussex supporters for planting seeds of hope for the children of Los Angeles. You help make the mission of Assistance League possible to create prosperity for all. So thank you so much, Global Sussex supporters. Thank you.
Yeah, that is the Assistant League.
We'd like to thank the Global Sussex supporters for planting seeds of hope for the children of Los Angeles.
That's the Assistant League of LA. Feeling grateful this holiday season for our Global Sussex event supporters. So, yeah, just a 15-second message. But yeah, you guys are greatly appreciated, or should I say, we are greatly appreciated by the various charities that the Sussex squad has supported. There's no equivalent to the generosity that we have. None whatsoever. There is no equivalent with the Derangers. And not only that, the content creators, the people with the platforms that help to fuel the Derangers, they don't even get along. There's so much infighting, it's unbelievable. They try to get together and do collaborations and such, and it's just a disaster. I tell you. Um, they should leave the darkness and come into the light. Let's see. I usually look at what they attack from the Sussexes camp to know what really is bothering them. They're worried. Yeah, they're worried. They're worried because it has been all these years, and still, as Maya Angelou say, and still I rise, and still I rise. And the Sussexes are still rising. And that's in spite of the worst. The worst. Cut price royal rents backlash. Finally, the fail has decided to chime in, um, which is shocking because you know how they usually do. But yeah, the fail has decided to chime in on the peppercorn arrangement. Um, there we go. Let me see. They will examine the Prince and Princess of Wales deal on their new family home, Forest Lodge, and investigation dubbed the Open Pandora's Box. Oh my God, they have given it a name. An investigation dubbed Opening of the Pandora's Box. I hope they really mean that. We'll also look at the rent free arrangements enjoyed by the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh in their nearby sprawling mansion, Bagshot Park. You know what, guys? I hope, well, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble for encouraging anything. But okay, let me say this. Remember what happened to Charles when he was leaving church that day? That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't mind if I saw a couple of things like that. If you know, you know. Okay. Uh, oh, man. Okay. I'm skipping to Will and Kate. It says, she said William and Kate, who pay market rent but have been dragged into parliamentary probe, will be blaming Andrew for this. A quite right and quite rightly so, adding if he had not been so avarice, money grabbing, and dishonest, none of this would have happened. So, in other words, if it wasn't for Andrew, Will and Kate's name would have never came up. But I tell you, while they're doing this investigation, I would recommend if there's anyone on that committee listening, that not only should we do this, but why don't we revisit Admiral Hall refurbishment, renovation? Why don't we revisit the Kensington Palace? What is that? Apartment 1? Is it 1A, 1 and 2 or whatever? Why don't we look into that among other things? Because Will and Kate have had the mother of all come ups when it comes to refurbishing, remodeling at the public's expense. Now, there's nothing to be said about the Sussexes. Why? Because they were evicted. They were evicted. Charles evicted his son, his daughter in law, and his grandchildren from Frogmore Cottage, the most secure place that they could possibly stay whilst visiting the United Kingdom. They were evicted. So they're not a part of this probe. They're not a part of this investigation. As a matter of fact, they paid money back. They paid back the money. This report's going to be public. Distract, deflect, distract, deflect, distract, deflect. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. But let's hope, that it's an absolute scandal and that all the left behind royals end up with egg on their face. That's what I'm hoping for. Especially Will and Kate. We know what they said, but we don't know if that's exactly the arrangements. But thank you so much for that, Legs. We've published responses from the Crown Estate Commissioners and the Treasury to correspondence on Royal Lodge. We are announcing a new inquiry. The Crown Estate, based on an updated 2005, what is that? Oh, that's interesting. Get them. That's all I can say is get them. Now, the curious case of Carolyn Graham, Thomas Markle, and the Daily Mail obsession with Meghan. It is curious. When a newspaper embeds one of its writers in beds, they sure did, one of its writers in Megan Sussex's father's life, it stopped being journalism and started being exploitation. From Mexico to the Philippines, one reporter's proximity to Megan's father raises unsettling questions about surveillance, manipulation, and obsession. It sounds like the setup of a lurid potboiler. Queen Camilla's biographer, Daily Mail columnist Carolyn Graham, isn't just filing copy from her London desk. She's been embedded in Thomas Markle's life for years, first in Mexico and now reportedly in the Philippines, where the two are said to be living together. On paper, she's covering him. In reality, she seems more like a live in minder. Ugh. The Daily Mail has effectively secured a direct pipeline, not just to Thomas Markle's quotes and photos, but to his state of mind, his access, and perhaps even his communication. The whole setup reeks of a long-term media strategy embed a trusted insider with Megan's father, keep him on script, and be the first in line should Meghan ever reach out. This bizarre arrangement raises disturbing questions about the ethics of journalism and the obsessive lengths the British tabloids press will go in order to control the narrative. Why would one of the UK's most notorious outlets dedicate an employee to essentially shadow Meghan Sussex's estranged father? This is not normal journalism. Reporters don't generally move in with their subject. They don't generally move in with their subjects. They don't act like de facto caretakers or as the first line of communication when emergencies happen. And they certainly don't position themselves as a conduit for immediate family matters while simultaneously publishing negative stories about the family member's estranged daughter. Social media users have drawn their own conclusion. Some suggest Graham's role has crossed all professional lines, with whispers that she and Thomas may even be romantically involved. If true, it would collapse the already thin boundary between reporting and manipulation. This gives even more credence to suspicions raised by Meghan in her Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan, when she recalled texting her father in the lead up to her wedding, only to instantly sense that the person on the other end wasn't him. Could it have been Carolyn posing as Thomas even then? Mmm. Mmm. Wow, this is juicy. It's not far fetched to think Carolyn may have been intercepting or even composing messages under Thomas's name, keeping the Daily Mail in control of the narrative. Lawsuit. Lawsuit. Excuse me. Now, Samantha Markle, who has her own axe to grind against Meghan, accidentally exposed the bizarre setup. She thought she was calling out Daily Mail's hypocrisy, but what she really did was confirm suspicions many already had that Thomas Markle is being managed, monitored, and even perhaps manipulated by a tabloid insider. Oh, I got to show you this picture. By the way, this is in the Medium. And I'm going to suppose that it is a Sussex friendly space since they're saying Meghan's name properly. Oh, it wouldn't let me post it. Let me try it again. Okay. I think this should help. All right, let me try that one more time. There we go. So, Samantha Markle. It says here maybe Caroline of the Daily Mail shouldn't have sent me panic messages saying that they were trapped because my father couldn't walk down 19 flights of stairs and the elevators were not working. Now, when she said that, it seemed as though somebody like, I don't know, Caroline Graham was living there. It appeared that way. One could assume that Carolyn Graham, when they said we're trapped, not he's trapped, we're trapped. We're supposed to believe that just by coincidence, Carolyn Graham traveled all the way to the Philippines. And just so happens there was an earthquake or whatever that was. And then she got trapped in Thomas Markle's house. She got trapped in his house. Now, if they said that she got trapped under Thomas Markle, because of the earthquake. Now that wouldn't seem so weird because it would also confirm. What if she got trapped under Thomas Markle? Wouldn't that be funny? Huh? If she was trapped under him. I'm just saying if he fell or whatever. Or whatever. Yeah. But what if she had got trapped under Thomas Markle? Now that would be a story. That would be a story. Um, okay. So if this all feels murky, that's because it is. And it's not even new. Thomas Markle has been a weapon in the media's arsenal before, repeatedly transformed into a weapon of narrative control, less a father and more a pawn, developed whenever the media, deployed whenever the media or palace allies seek to wound Meghan. Remember Jeff Rayner and the AMI's Dylan Howard? Their orchestration of the pre wedding photo scandal wasn't journalism, it was sabotage. How do you like that? I know it would be just like the Hindenburg disaster. Oh, the humanity. Oh, that's a good one, Mary H. Yes. Yes. If Thomas Markle crushed um, that reporter under all that blubber, it would be kind of like the Hindenburg disaster. All that humanity. Oh, well. Woo! So they have a little bit of a timeline here. 2018, stage photo scandal. 2018 to 2019, media frenzy after scandal of Thomas Markle became permanent fixture of hostile interviews. Uh, Mexico years, Carolyn Graham embedded. 2024 to 25, Philippines relocation. Wow. And you know that thing with Thomas Markle when he was on Australian television, Channel 7 or whatever? That is still on the internet on that Sunrise show. And just when you thought the arrangements couldn't get stranger, along comes the latest story that Carolyn Graham is now trapped in the Philippines with Thomas Markle in a recent, what is that? The Cebu earthquake. Critics argue that this is just another manufactured plot line. a way to drag Meghan's name into yet another sideshow, keeping her tethered to the same family drama the tabloids have been monetizing for years. The media organization embedding of its own inside of the private life of Meghan's Sussex's father, not just a source, but a gatekeeper of his every move, is no longer journalism, is surveillance, is exploitation, and is obsession, plain and simple. Lastly, it says here the bizarre spectacle, a major British tabloid so fixated on Meghan Sussex that it effectively embeds one of its own writers to shadow her estranged father, milking his greed for stories and waiting like a vulture for any scrap of contact between them. It's living, breathing illustration of how tabloids operate when their fixation on a woman eclipses any ethical boundaries. If Carolyn Graham has blurred the lines so far that her role is less journalistic and more live in companion, what does this say about the male's methods? At what point does professional coverage cross into personal exploitation? And perhaps the most pressing question, should this murky arrangement be investigated? Yes. Yes, it should. I say investigate it. I tell you, what a pig. What a pig. So, Prince William slash and burn royal plans revealed. I'm not going to lean into this much because it's basically atomic. What's his name? Tom Sykes story. Uh, and of course, it's all the machinations of William and what he's going to do when he becomes king. It's going to be interesting to watch. And every day I am less and less bothered by the idea of them stripping titles away from anybody in the family. I really do hate it for, excuse me, for the children, for Archie and Lily. Um, I feel like they're going to be punished for something that has nothing to do with them, and that is completely unfair to them. It gives them a unique place in history, and who knows, maybe it's for the best. I'm not sure yet, but it may even be for the best. But living with a threat over your head, um, even if you don't care, is still not a comfortable place to be. The idea that they're leaking and briefing about this stripping of titles and such, it's an attempt to empower a very weak individual, and that, of course, is William. William is not a very strong person. He's weak, and that's why he acts out the way he does, because basically he's very weak. And without the throne behind him, he would be an absolute nobody, a big nothing. He needs the throne just to justify his existence. But without that, he couldn't just walk away and do anything important. He's temperamentally unfit for the role of king, and he wouldn't even make a good neighbor in the leafiest suburb you can find. He is an absolute disaster. So I'm not even going to bother with this one. Uh, okay. The Wellses were blindsided by Princess Beatrice, and now all her appearances have to be approved. You see what I mean? This is yet another chance to grab power, to seize authority, to try to make someone else's life miserable because they are so unhappy. Princess Beatrice, blindsided Kate Middleton and Prince William with a recent public appearance. The couple felt Beatrice's behavior was tone deaf. The Princess Beatrice and her sister, Princess Eugenie, now have to run all their plans by the palace for approval. Looks like their tension I'm sorry, looks like there's tension brewing between Kate Middleton, Prince William, and Princess Beatrice. Apparently, the royal couple were blindsided by William's cousin hosting an official afternoon tea with Princess Beatrice of York in Saudi Arabia back in October. I hope this is not true. I really do. A source, is that, what does that say there? Hold on. Oh, per a source. Okay. I couldn't see that on my screen. Who via Express chatted to Closer magazine. The appearance was seen as tone deaf, and William and Kate were genuinely upset when the pictures emerged. They have been very supportive of Beatrice and Eugenie and hope now that they will toe the palace line. You know, I hope that this is not true. I hope this is just. I, and the only reason why I say that is because it really makes me sad. It really makes me sad because you have Will and Kate allegedly throwing their weight around and trying to make everyone react and afraid, and they want them reactive and afraid and nervous to do anything without prior permission, even though William is not the king yet. He's not the king. Even though I think Charles III made some horrendous mistakes because of the 70 years that he sat waiting for his mother to take her last breath, I will say at the very least that Charles earned the right to have a certain level of authority prior to taking the throne. I believe he earned that because he was in the shadows of his mother's every moment for all those years. He knew how stuff works. I'm not saying that he made the best decisions. That's not what I'm saying. But William, we know William has been very lazy. William has in no way taken interest in how things work. The only time that he seemed to get involved with how things work is when it gives him the attention that he wants. But the small things, everybody knows he's not interested. And I stand by what I said before. William seems to believe, okay, this is an odd way to make a point, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know how there is a cheating husband who believes that, okay, no, a cheating boyfriend who believes that he will stop cheating if she will marry me. And then, of course, they move the goalposts. After the marriage, this husband will stop cheating when they have their first child. Do you get what I'm saying? And I believe that that's William's approach to the monarchy. When the queen dies, then I'm going to pay closer attention and I'm going to do more work. Okay, the queen is dead. Now he's waiting for his father to die before he steps up to the role, before he takes more interest in how things work. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense to you guys? God, I hope so. Um, I think he believes that through every increment of his path to the throne, that he's going to be a better person the next step and the next step and the next step. I'm sure that when he turned 40, he was thinking, oh, I'm really going to lean into this when I'm 40. But I'm sure he said the same thing before he turned 30. I'm going to really lean into this when I turn 30. The big question is, once his father is gone and once the sparkly hat is he really going to lean into it? Or is he just going to keep making a lot of noise and making people nervous? And that will somehow serve as being a very decisive ruler. That's what I'm seeing. I see someone who does not have a heart for it, who doesn't really care about it. They love the attention, but they have never been interested in the work. They do not care about the work. Yeah. Well, you know what? I hope he is the last king. I really do. In a modern world, what this institution does to some otherwise very average people, and that includes William, what this institution has done, it may have made sense in feudal times. It may have been necessary even as recent as 50 years ago, 100 years ago. But in modern society, I don't see that it has any place. I just don't see it. Okay. Okay. Either way, it's a bunch of flexing. And I think that that Tom Sykes has somehow gotten himself tethered to Kensington Palace, and that he has become this unofficial spokesperson. I think Tom Sykes is to William and Kate what Rebecca English has been um, to both Will and Kate and Charles and Godzilla. I think Rebecca English, should I say, I believe she's doing double duty. But Tom Sykes seems to have hedged his bet on the future of a William Windsor. That seems to be the direction that he's going. That if he can latch on to this William and Kate train, that's going to take him all the way to the top of the Royal Rota. And maybe ultimately that's exactly what he wants. Maybe he wants to knock Rebecca English off her throne. Maybe that's what he's interested in. I mean, when you look at it, the Royal Rota is aging, right? And I have no idea how old Rebecca English is. I wouldn't imagine she's much older or younger than Tom Sykes, but I think he wants that role. I think he finds that his future would be more secure if he can be Rebecca English to Will and Kate. It certainly seems like he's vying for that position. So, well, Beatrice and Eugenie, they should, if they want to do the work, they should let them do the work and they should leave them alone to do it. Um, there is the problem of their parents. Everything is going to be under a great deal of scrutiny, and they simply cannot afford to make a mistake. They can't do anything that looks improper. Otherwise, they will be setting themselves up. It may be better for them to not get involved with anything. If they cannot toe the line without looking suspicious, I say don't do anything. They're going to have problems. They're going to have problems. Whatever happens with Beatrice and Eugenie, they're going to be under a lot of suspicion because of their parents. So it might be doing them a favor if they just say, you know what, even though we need the help, we're just not that desperate. Or if they can just stay and do the work while Charles is on the throne, while in the meantime, trying to figure out how to get the hell out of there. Keep your grace and favor if you can, but it will be a disaster if they have to deal with William. And I have good reason to believe that it will be a disaster. Um, wait a minute. Where is it at? Well, okay. First of all, you can see there on the left, they don't care for Kate. Kate does not care for them. And you can see on the right side there, um, Royal Suitor said, when they tell you that only working royals participate in trooping the color and the carriage procession, so on and so forth, then why is Beatrice and Eugenie there? They're not really considered working royals. They haven't been for a long time. On occasion, they do show up for certain things, but for the most part, Charles really did not want them around. And that has been a bone of contention between the brothers, Charles and Andrew. Andrew has always wanted more for his daughters. Charles has always wanted to push them away. But then there's this moment when they were subpoenaed, when they were sequestered to show up for this garden party that neither one of them wanted to go. They did not want to be there. But this was a command performance. Now, I don't know whether it was Williams doing or whether it was Charles. But as you can see, they are pissed. They did not want to be there. And of all days, one of the rainiest days of the year, they had to show up and go to a flipping garden party. Not exactly what they wanted. Yeah, I think they should just lay low. Hopefully, they don't need them or don't want them. They will be doing them a favor. And they will use this and everything else against them because they need to earn money. Their husbands need to earn money. And then they're going to flip it around and say that they're using their royal connections, blah, 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 blah. That has always been a thing. I think the only person that they have not accused was Afro Annie. I don't think they've ever accused her. And it's kind of hard to accuse Zara because she doesn't even have a title. She's just the Queen's granddaughter. And Peter Phillips, they are critical of him. Well, they actually have criticized both of them, but again, it's hard to make a case because they don't have titles. So who knows? Maybe it is better for the Sussexes to not have the title. But I tell you, because of the way they have been treated, I want them to get everything they can out of whatever. I really do. Everything they can. I mean, every crumb, every morsel, I want them to have as much as they can get. I believe they have earned it. Anytime your name is being dragged through the press, anytime you are the source of a billion dollar industry, You are the source material. You are the backbone of their earnings. I believe they should have everything they can get and then some. William forced them to be there. William was battling with Charles III and Camilla. He made a separate garden party for his own vanity. Oh, that's right. That's right. Even Carol Middleton was there. William needs puppets for his ego. He wanted compliance. Come on, legs. Oh, man. All right. Well, you know what? That is my cue to get out of here because I want to see it. What is she wearing? What is she wearing? Know your body type. Know your body type. And that's all I'm going to say. There's no word as to how any of this is going to affect Tiffany. But I suspect that much like the cockroach, much like the pigeons and the rats, much like anything, Cher, Madonna, she will survive. She is the ultimate survivor. And no matter what comes out of Kensington Palace or Buckingham Palace, no matter what happens in this geopolitical nightmare that we call the world, Tiffany is going to be okay. You could expect to see her at the Royal Ascot. Hell, she might even be on the balcony next year for Trooping the Colors. We'll see. She gets around. Okay, got a few fun things before we go. Or do you guys want to do this tomorrow so we can watch the thing? I could save it for tomorrow. Yeah, why don't we do that? All right, I'm done. I'll make sure I throw these in there. This is too easy though, isn't it? That one's too easy. I got a few more, but we'll do these tomorrow. All right, love you guys. I will see you all next time. I got to go watch the Duchess of Sussex. Cheers. God save the content creators. Okay, I'm coming, Megan. I'm coming. See y'all.